Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, better known as Imola, for the opening round of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series 6th season, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announcement, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Jonathan Grabowski, working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's action. And so tonight we kick off this new season of LMP3 and GT4 racing with a 60-minute race. And where we do it, we head to the 3-mile, 19-turn Imola, located centrally between St. Agata, the home of Lamborghini, and Maranello. And seeing its first action in 1953, initially hosting motorcycles and then Formula One in its first non-championship event, we saw Jim Clark take the win in 1963. But since it has played host to the Italian Grand Prix, the San Marino Grand Prix, and in 2020, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, it's played host to some of the grandest victories in the sport and, unfortunately, some of its greatest tragedies. Good evening, Larry, and welcome to Season 6 of the Sports Car Series. And, while we're near the ancestral homes of prancing horses and charging bulls, it's nothing but French LMP3s joined by British and German GT4 cars on the grid tonight.
Yes, they have invaded Italy, but in a good way. And those of us here, well, I can enjoy a sip of espresso and perhaps a little scoop of gelato as we're watching this racing at what is really a spectacular racetrack. Not everyone's favorite, but it has a lot of every kind of corner. It is fast. It can be flowing. It can be really tough to race on. It'll be a great way to kick off a brand new season with the Sports Car Series.
Yeah, I definitely think it will, Larry. It's been a while since we saw our champions named in Season 5, and I'm happy to get this back underway. In all honesty, I love me some GT4 racing here. So let's do this, because we're going to be at Imola for the next 2 weeks. We're going to be here this weekend for the opening round of the Sports Car Series. We're going to be here next week for the opening round of the World Challenge, which is where we had that big pause for the Sports Car Series. World Challenge is just rolling right over to its next season. Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us tonight's track guide of Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, Imola.
Welcome everyone to Imola GP, located here in beautiful Italy. This is an amazing course for our track guide today. We want to welcome you as we get ready to give you a tour around this 17-turn road course. It is a beauty to drive. All right, here we go. We are rolling. To the right, you'll notice the pit entry here coming off of turn 15, a little ways back. Two double right-handers on this front straight, but drivers have an opportunity to keep that throttle all the way down for a very long distance here. As we come across the stripe, right there it is, and we'll go across turn 1. On the left-hand side, we'll head down towards turn 2 and 3. Heavy brake zone here, and obviously overtaking opportunities into this little switchback here. Back to the left here for turn 4 as we hit the apex and pick up some speed off the exit. You will see some overtaking opportunities coming into Villeneuve here, turns 5 and 6, but not as likely as some of the areas or other areas here at Imola. Back across to the right of turn 6, we'll track out and come right back track right to set up that entry for turn 7 here, Tosa. A lot of camber in this corner, which helps get that throttle down coming up off the exit as we work our way up the hill towards turn 8. This is a blind entry here. You'll notice as we come over the crest, you have to get your eyes down looking for that apex. Watch that exit. Don't want to track out too far here. We're going to pick up a lot of speed heading downhill towards turns 9 and 10 of Imola Rally, one of my favorite sets of corners here. Back to the right. Very tough to get that right. Don't want to track out off into that green space too much. You will get loose and possibly pick up an off track. Now heading down into the final chicane here. Into Alta, to the right and to the left through 14 and 15, taking a little bit of curb, and then you want to get a good exit here as this is another overtaking opportunity heading down the straight to Ravazza, which is the final section here, 2 double lefts. There's 13, now into turns 14 and 15. Now watch as we take a little bit of curb here. We want to track out, get a nice fast exit off of this final corner here of 15. Have 2 turns remaining, 16 and 17 up here, but it's very important to get a good momentum run off that final corner of 15 back there. Carry that speed back down this front straightaway and across the stripe. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Imola GP. Thank you for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Imola. And Larry, this track here, it's not Monza fast, but it's still a pretty quick track here. And I suspect, and I know we've been talking a little bit offline with Eric Violette, who is racing once again this season in LMP3 for D2D Sim Racing, that he anticipates a lot of how would he put this? Not carnage, but I think he said that there should be a lot of punting expected here tonight between the 2 classes.
So my experience here is the way these chicanes drive. And you find this a lot of different chicane tracks. Is people have very different braking points for chicanes, especially the wider the offset of the chicane. So here at Imola, as you saw in the track guide, I think there's 3 real pretty good sized chicane. You got the Tamburello, of course, you got the Villeneuve, and then you got the Variante Alta. And the third one is a very tight and abrupt chicane. You don't get a lot of punting there, so to speak, but you might because it's kind of an uphill climb coming to it, a bit of a blind corner. But the other 2, because they're very deep offset, there's very different angles and lines through there. Somebody might do a more slow in, fast out. Somebody else may more of a dive bomb and take the speed off when they get into it sort of approach. And it creates a big accordion effect going to both of them. So certainly on the opening laps, we'll be looking at that. And then when the LMP3s are approaching these sports cars, the rest of the GT4s, you might see some of it there when they're trying to get by. So this could be very interesting here tonight with these intermixing of classes in those 3 main chicanes.
All right, and Larry, as we can see, we've got our drivers out on track here at beautiful Imola for their qualifying session, and as we always do in the sports car series, we give them 15 minutes to set their fastest lap and set the grid for tonight's race, but there is always that caveat. We only allow them to take 4 flying laps, and we're now waiting for our first lap times to come in. But let's do this while we've got drivers on track. Let's pick out our different racers currently. We're taking a look currently at Bailey Petrowski. Bailey from D2D Sim Racing is out, and I think this might be his first outing in the LMP3, or did he race LMP3 last season in the Sports Car Series?
Don't recall seeing him last season, but certainly he's been big in our GTP series, so getting him over in here is a big plus, big boost. It was already a very deep field.
Indeed. And so all of the LMP3 cars, well, I think it's pretty easy to pick them aside from the GT4 cars. They will have the orange number boards on the sides of the cars, the orange mirrors, and the orange end plates on their wings. And wow, Petrowski getting very, very loose, trying to still get some heat in the tires here as he looks to put in his first flying laps. But we are starting to see some of our first flying laps come in from other LMP3 machines. We'll get back to them in just a moment. But let's move over to our GT4 racers, Larry, like Ken Copeland, who at the moment is your provisional pole sitter in GT4 Pro, and we can pick out the GT4 Pro racers from the AM racers because they've got the red number boards, the Ricmotech red number boards, red mirrors, red windshield banners, and also end plates on the wings. Currently, Copeland, your fastest driver in GT4 Pro, about 0.4 of a second on Kevin Carlisle. Now let's take a look at our GT4 AM drivers, and we'll take a look at new to the series, Chris Klimovich. I think in the chat, Larry, I think it was Christine Klimovich who said it is Klim Club ×2. And
Yep.
we've got Chris Klimovich joining us for the first time here in the Sports Car Series, joining brother David Klimovich. But the AM drivers, you will pick them out from the pro drivers because they've got the green number boards on their doors, green mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on their wings. And of course, when you take a look at the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen, there we have things broken down. We've got them color-coded for you as well.
All right, so there's our provisional pole sitter so far in LMP3, Leo Jagoda, and he is just flying right now. Now out there working his third lap down to a 37.5, but he's got a couple of chasers after him right now. His teammate, Travis Schwenke, of course, one of the other Ryan entries, and then you got Bobby Childs right now, third quickest so far from D2D.
Well, you know, we only give Bobby 4 laps here in qualifying, so good things should happen for him. But yeah, good to see there with Leo moving over. Of course, I believe he was still an independent, or actually working with Rennsport last season while the Sports Car Series was still running in season number 5. Since then, he had joined Orion Racing and has raced in multiple series, both in the World Challenge and also in the Touring Car Cup under the Orion banner. So neat to see him, good to see him racing here in an LMP3 machine as we now jump over to Mariano Barrios from Friendly Neighborhood Racing in his McLaren. Mariano, currently your third fastest driver in GT4 Pro with a time of 150.637, about 4/10, a little bit less than 4/10 off of Carlisle, as Barrios is currently working his third of 4 flying laps.
Yeah, Mario certainly expected to be one of the contenders this season here in this GT4 Pro class. Just a stacked class, if you ask me. Ken Copeland, Kevin Carlisle are already showing good pace here this time. And Mariano Barrios seems every time he steps into any one of these Ricmotech series that he's a contender. So should be a very interesting season. A lot of talent deep in all 3 of these classes.
Indeed. In LMP3, Bailey Petrowski goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 136.96. And in GT4 AM, no, this is not a big surprise, or probably not a surprise, but it's not a misprint. We've got Lucas Dragoda, who's still, I believe, running for Rennsport Racing. He is racing in the Mercedes AMG GT4. He is currently your provisional GT4 AM pole sitter and about 3/10 up on the rest of the
Yeah, the Jagodas are running very quick here tonight for sure in both of those classes. So we'll keep our eyes out for Lucas, currently sitting on that GT4 AM top spot as folks are out there working their fourth lap. A couple drivers still on their third, and some we haven't seen lay one down legally yet. One of those is Rob Schwenkler. Schwenkler is on his second lap, and his first one was probably off track somewhere. We'll get to him in a little bit. Eric Violette, he'll be out there in one of our LMP3s. He has yet to turn a lap. Who else? We've got Mike Dam. It says he's on his fourth lap in the LMP3, but I'm guessing 3 of them have been dirty because I don't think he's got one in the books.
He doesn't have a time in the books yet, Larry.
Yeah.
And he's one, and I believe he is the only one of our LMP3 drivers that does not have a time in. If he cannot set a time this time around, that will set him 12th out of the 12-car LMP3 field.
And that's
as he comes to the line.
Yeah, that's a pretty big field to be starting at the back of if you want to compete in this. This place isn't. It's got 1 or 2 passing zones that are legit. A couple other places you probably have to force the issue a little bit. But
There you go.
for Mike Dam, luckily for him,
time, Larry.
Yeah, he gets time in.
And he moves up to the outside of row number 2. So a good run for Mike on his very last attempt here in qualifying. And should mention, Larry, that this week's qualifying is brought to you by Proforma Elite, the marketing agency without the marketing fees. To find out about all of their services, visit them at proformaetg.com. All right, we're on board with Robert Schwenkler right now, who is our sole GT4 Pro driver who has not set a qualifying time. Well, now he does on lap number 2. He was late to head on track. Schwenkler now moving up to 5th fastest in a field of 7 GT4 Pro drivers in his McLaren.
See, he's got a time in. You can just watch that car kind of sliding around out there. Got to get that thing to rotate. Can be a quick car if driven smoothly. So I expect that Mr. Schwenkler will have a pretty good run at it here tonight, but he's going to have to lay down some pretty good lap times. You can see 5th in that field. That's how tough that field really is. He's down there in 5th.
All right, Larry, we have sitting in the green room right now Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing, driver the number 16, Ligier. Currently, right now, where is he? He is 3rd fastest in qualifying here. Let's talk to him, get his thoughts on the start of season number 6.
All right, so Travis Schwenke is joining us here. And Travis, here we go, kicking off a new season of the SportsCar series. Got a deep field here in those LMP3s. So what are your thoughts going in?
Well, it's going to be interesting with the traffic here. So I think it's, keep it clean and just try to make sure I maximize every race that what I can, right? I missed a few at the beginning of last season where I probably should have had wins, and things went wrong like last 2 laps. So I've got to try to not have that happen and just maximize points every race.
Is there a little more pressure here in an opening round to at least get points in the books? Is that kind of way this goes? Because a lot of guys don't want to start out a season getting a DNF.
I don't know. I might think that beforehand, but then the racing blood starts flowing a couple laps in, and you're just ready to go. So we'll see what happens. I'll try to keep that in the back of my mind and just be safe and try to do that maximization. But sometimes you get to race and you're like, I gotta go.
So has the Orion team, have you guys really worked on a setup, or is everybody kind of on their own? Because in the past, you guys tend to kind of, maybe you're the setup guy and shares it around, but with you guys and your 4 drivers now, how's that working for setup development?
Yeah, it's my first time back in this car in a while, and I took like 3 setups and compared them, and I haven't figured out the little intricacies of this car. There's some weird things that happen with traction control and wheel spin that I haven't figured out what causes it. But yeah, I'll try to get to the bottom of that so we can fix that going forward. But the setup we have here, Leo did some stuff on, and it actually is pretty good. And Leo's darn quick here, so I'm wishing him good luck tonight.
Yeah, so far he is second quickest right on the outside of the front row, and you'll be on the inside of the second row if things start as they are currently lined up. But you've got a couple other drivers down the order. I'm seeing Rob Hartley back there in row 6. Is he still struggling a little bit with this car?
Rob's probably on his 4th lap. He's been pretty busy lately. Summer, and his kids are at that age where he's taking care of them a lot. couple jobs, with the warm weather coming. So he's always busy. But Rob is really good in this car, and I expect him to pick it up, during the race, because this car rewards smoothness, and that's what Rob has in balance.
Yeah. And the other is just this track being a multi-class first event of the season, a lot of new drivers coming in. How do you anticipate that traffic management being at a track like Imola, where you've got a lot of chicanes, a lot of abrupt things happening out there? How's it going to work between these two classes?
It looks really well. I mean, in practice, I found a lot of spots it was very easy, and it seems good. I think it's really just gonna be about the patience in the spots it's not, because where it's not, you just have to be patient. You're not going to get around them, and you hope the guy behind you doesn't try to force an issue or something else when you see those cases. So that's going to be the trouble spots when people start trying to race too hard in places where it's just impossible to get by.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting. We're all excited here, opening round of a brand new season here of the SportsCar series. So, Travis, appreciate you taking a few minutes out to talk to us, and good luck, and maybe we'll talk to you in about an hour.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Larry. And so Travis, he gives all the props to young Leo Dragota.
Yeah.
Travis was the fastest LMP3 driver in practice this week. Put in a fast lap of 1:38.176. But you take a look, that fast lap during practice, Larry, would only be good for 5th fastest right now. Here, as these drivers have gone considerably faster.
Yeah, the pace has definitely picked up now that every little bit counts. There's more practice, more laps in on this track, and it's going to be interesting. And I think qualifying will matter to a point. It certainly gives you a first stab to get through the field, as let's say for sure if you're in the LMP3s coming up on the GT4s, and that could be a bit of an advantage. But it may come down to also a bit of that pit strategy tonight. We've seen that in the past in these cars, who can get timed well on their pit stops, who can get in and out efficiently, perhaps who can even save a little bit of fuel. I think all that's going to come into play tonight here, and those that don't score well in points may look to regret it. So tonight's a big night for everyone to score something.
All right, so time now, Larry, has expired in qualifying, and we've got our drivers heading to the grid. We're going to have 2 pace laps tonight, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But let's run down the starting order. Tell you what, Larry, if you want to take the LMP3s, lead us off, and I'll go to the GT4s.
Sounds good. All right, tonight starting on the pole position from D2D Sim Racing, the only driver in the 36s, it's Bailey Petrowski leading the way tonight. Alongside him, the fastest of the Orion drivers, young Leo Dragota from Orion Race Team. The second row, it's all Orions. On the inside, we just talked to him, it's Travis Schwenke, and then on the outside, his teammate Mike Dam. On row 3, it's going to be more of those D2Ds. Eric Violet on the inside, alongside his teammate Bobby Childs on the outside. Row 4, it's going to be now the wrong stuff. Baron Glover will be lined up there. Alongside him, Aaron Beaver from Rockefeller Racing. Row 5, on the inside, Hutch Sport Racing's Josh Fidel. And on the outside, Marlon Jones from Lead Paw Racing. And finally, on row number 6, the last of our Orion drivers, Rob Hartley. As maybe he'll go as he gets more into the groove with more laps. We'll see if he can move up the field. But he's got to always quick Kyle Strikers on the outside from SRT Esport.
All right, let's move over now to GT4, where Ken Copeland from The Wrong Stuff is your pole sitter. SimCity Racing's Kevin Carlisle will start right next to him in the number 27 machine. Then we got Mariano Barrios from Friendly Neighborhood Racing and Robert Schwenkler. They'll make up row number 2, with Chris Thorman and Neil Weston starting 5th and 6th. Starting 6th will be Lucas Dragota in his Dragon Sport Racing Mercedes, and Zach Mosley starting right next to him on the outside of row number 4 in 8th. Then we've got David Payton from D2D and Tom Jenkins from Midfield Motorsports, along with Andre Wedderburn and Jeff Jacobs. They will make up row number 6. Then we've got Chuck Labano and Elias Halabi in the Frito Sport Racing Machine and the Lay Pro Racing entry, with Stephen May and Kevin Killow starting there. And then we've got Logan Doran, who is a new racer for us from the Northwest Motorsports, along with John Casey from Frito Sport. Sean Ankeny from the Northwest Motorsports will start right behind his teammate, with Russ Ruddick right next to him. And then we've got the 2 Klimoviches in the battle of the Klim Club, Larry. We've got Chris Klimovich, who has out-qualified brother David for the first time tonight. The 2 Slow Bros Racing entries will start on the same row. Then we've got Greg Brockway and Blake Bynum rounding out the field. Almost rounding out the field, Robert Brist will pull up in the rear. He is scheduled to start 17th in AM. All right, so Larry, although we have the pace car now heading to the pit lane, we do have one more pace lap, and that pace lap is a lap of honor for James Fink. That he is the stepfather of Kevin Ford. Kevin, from Flying Tortoise Motorsports, is both a founder and league admin here for our different Ricmotech races, and his stepfather passed away March 31st. Jim was born in Miami back in 1939, but moved to Daytona with his family in 1951, worked with his father in construction while attending mainly in high school. Jim was well known as a commercial builder in Volusia County, Florida, and was responsible for Ormond Beach YMCA, in addition to the Ormond Beach City Hall, the firehouse in Port Orange, Florida as well, and a number of other buildings. He built or added additions to 5 Florida healthcare facilities as well, and he built the Regency Plaza and Nautilus condominiums on Route A1A. Jim was known as the Ormond Beach and Daytona historian, and told many historic stories with his friends around campfires. He was also a founding member of the Ormond Beach Junior Chamber of Commerce, a member of the Ormond Beach American Legion Post, as well as treasurer of the Ormond Beach Tomoka Travelers Camping Club and member of the National Rifle Association. We want to, of course, in this time, send out our regards and respects to Kevin Ford and his entire family, and to the entire Fink family as well. May James's memory always be a blessing. All right, and we can see here as the field, Larry, is behind this BMW safety car, pace car. That is Kevin Ford's livery that he will be running later this season. Kevin down in Florida, spending time with his mother and the rest of his family, taking care of their business there. But we will start to see the field form up and pair up here in just a few moments as they start to make the run down into the final corners here at Imola.
Yeah, our thoughts with the Ford family and the Fink family in their time right now. But Kevin, get on back here next week and enjoy your time with your family right now.
All right, and as our LMP3 racers, Larry, are starting to form up, our GT4 racers are starting to do so as well, with Kevin Copeland from the Wrong Stuff Racing. They're your pole sitter in the number 27 Mercedes.
Yeah, one note here, we've got in the AM category, Neil Weston, actually the fastest of the AM drivers. He'll start the race. I think it's on the outside of the third row of the GT4s. Really quick. I think he joined last season of Sports Cars, I believe. I don't know if he even got a full season in, but showing some pretty good pace here. It'll be interesting to watch there alongside, or right in front of, I guess, Lucas Dragota. So good start there for Neil. It could be an interesting race. Got a huge field of AM drivers in GT4s tonight. This should be very interesting. Could be a lot of fun to watch the AM class.
All right, and the Ligiers now, Larry, are on the front straight. They are just about to hit the start zone right when they get to this little chicane, this little motorcycle chicane right here, where our real-life starter will give them the command to go. And there we go. Green flag is in the air for our LMP3s as they make the run down for the very first time down this long front straight over to Variante Tamburello into the first chicane here at Imola. And so far, they're through safely as our GT4s now get the green flag as well, and they are now racing at Imola as well. Let's see, Larry, if they do it as well as the LMP3s did.
Yeah, keep your eye on that battle right up front there, Ken Copeland, Kevin Carlisle, as they go side by side into that first Tamburello chicane. And it's going to be Copeland leading the way as they come out of there. A lot of cold tires here, but they do have an extra lap of that warm-up, which may have helped Soaks kind of settle in a little bit and make sure the tires have enough heat in them to get this thing started. The back of this field, though, in GT4 is still a lot of side-by-side. Not quite. And oh, no, that's your leader,
and
Copeland.
Larry, Ken Copeland goes around coming out of the first chicane here, and the whole field drives on by. Copeland ended up getting into the wall. We'll see if he can get that car back underway or if there was just too much damage. There he goes.
Just as I was saying about having some cold tires, I thought maybe that extra lap was going to be enough. Maybe Ken thought he didn't need to do too much tire warming, and there he is in that second chicane. Let's check the replay. Watch him come into this, a very deep, this Villeneuve chicane. He comes in very deep. He gets a little curb on the way in, and just the back end lets a little loose as he's mid-corner. And he does get the wall, but not the hardest impact, so he might have avoided too much damage there. But now it's all about the ego damage and at the back of the field right now.
That's right, as he now has to contend with Logan Doiron and Robert Brist there at the tail end of the GT4 field, Larry. And just as you were saying that you thought that these racers might have the time to hopefully get some additional heat into the tires, and Copeland just overcooked it there as we jump up to our new leader in GT4 Pro. That is Kevin Carlisle. In his Mercedes, Carlisle being hounded by Mariano Barrios. But Larry, I was just going to note when Copeland spun the car around how much of a gap he had already opened just on the run down the front straight, and of course all for naught as we jump over now to LMP3, where Bobby Childs, who started right towards the very front of the LMP3 field, Larry, now finds himself sitting at the tail end. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, as he comes up down the front straightaway into Tamburello, it just locked it up. So these cars do not have ABS, as Bobby so nicely demonstrates for us. Luckily, I think he avoided any kind of contact there. But yeah, there's no ABS in these cars, and it's a bit of a struggle point for a lot of drivers to find the right balance and the right threshold to brake these effectively without locking up. But certainly at slower speeds, they don't lock initially. It's when the wheels stop losing that momentum that suddenly they'll lock up, and Bobby just demonstrating for us as a bit of a model on display, so to speak, as we flash now to the middle of the field here. This middle of the field is actually the battle for GT4 AM. This is Lucas and Neil.
That's right. So Lucas Dragotta was for a time, was our fastest GT4 AM driver in qualifying, and then gave up the pole to Neil Weston. Weston in the 119 Mercedes. And in the 119, let's try this again. He's in the number 6 Porsche. Lucas is in the 119 Mercedes, and then we've got Zach Mosley and Tom Jenkins also all in AM, very closely behind. New season, new mistakes for Greg.
Cars. Yeah,
yes.
A couple of different cars there between. You got the 2 Mercedes there, of course, for Lucas and for Zach, but you've got Jenkins and David Payton in the Astons. You got Neil Weston in the Porsche. You've got a BMW, Jeff Jacobs. You've got McLarens out there in front of the field with Mariano Barrios and Robert Schwenkler. And that is Marlon Jones going for a bit of a spin there. I think that's also back at Tamburello.
Yes, indeed. I believe that was over at Tamburello. So Marlon Jones, let's take a look and see what happened here as he goes into the first chicane over at Tamburello and now falls all the way to the back of the pack.
He caught that curbing. I tell you, that curbing around here, extremely tall in certain spots. That apex curbing, the kind of a sausage curb there at the opening corners at Tamburello. And then you've got the massive ones. Those are the ones he's showing there. They're pretty big at the Verrazano Alta, the high chicane there. Very tall curbing if you hit those things wrong. So
yeah, and Petrowski there, our leader, was pounding over those like he was driving a Miata.
Yeah. Bailey off to a pretty good start here, about 2 seconds already over the trio of Ryan drivers, Leo Dragotta, Travis Schwenke, Mike Dam. The 3 of them are kind of lined up, but 2 seconds or so back from Billy Petrowski. There they are.
Larry, let's take a look as we're starting to see, wow, and running wide through there. Kevin Carlisle running a little bit wide. That's allowed now Mariano Barrios to close up very, very close as they make the run down through, I believe that's through, what was that, Variante Alta.
Yes.
Making the run down towards Rivasa here. But Barrios able to close right up to the back of the Mercedes, and they have already now working lap number 4 started to open up a pretty big gap on Robert Schwenkler and Chris Thorman in 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, it's one thing about this track is it can be very flowing if you're very precise, but if you make a mistake, it starts to get choppy, and the mistakes will cost you time, a huge amount of time in each corner. For example, if you miss the braking point going into one Tamburello, and you are just done for the entire straightaway leading down to the Villeneuve chicane. And if the car behind can close extremely quickly, but they've got to be ready to make that closure if they're going to be able to make a pass. And I think that may have been what we saw there. Carlisle may have made a little bit of a mistake, perhaps down through the Aqua Morale, and it just led to an opportunity there, but not enough of an opportunity for Mariano to actually make the pass. But it's the way this place is. It can be a bit choppy. It's not long flowing corners by any stretch around this place. It's chicanes or super tight corners like the Ravazza 90-degree corners, or the Tosa corner they're going through now, which is this Harris pit at the other end. This place is a bit choppy and not the most flowing kind of track that we've ever seen.
Yeah, you know, and I think I said early on that, you know, it's fast. It's not as fast as, say, a Monza, but you know, but many of the corners here, obviously, many of these chicanes were placed in order to slow these cars down. There are still some very quick sections of this track.
This place has a bit of that same sort of feel of what Monza is. Monza is basically a bunch of straightaways with a couple of chicanes, and that's what this is. The difference is Monza is huge. It's massive. Its straightaways are a mile long. This place isn't. Its total distance being just around 3 miles or so, but it's a whole lot of chicanes interrupting what would have originally been. The original layout here was essentially like almost like a speedway, you know, where this chicane they're going through now here at the Alta didn't exist originally. It was more or less just a giant bending straightaway all the way down the hill to Ravazza, which was original. Yeah, and all built in this tiny little town here in eastern Italy. And, you know, it's just this little tiny web of pavement between. In fact, people still live around this track and inside of the track.
Well, and wow, and look at that move as Chuck Labano gets around Andre Wedderburn at Ravazza to move up to 6th in AM. What a move there. Yeah, I was just going to say, matter of fact, Larry, as you watch this shot here, you can see the houses on the outside of Ravazza where people live all around the circuit here. And, you know, there aren't ways to extend this circuit. The only thing that they can do is, you know, essentially make it fold back in on itself by adding some of these chicanes.
And there's houses inside of the track as well, which is pretty cool. It's like, to me, the greatest place in the world you could live would be on the inside of Imola. Look at how crazy it's getting here. So Labano, I don't know if he caught a bit of a course cut there going through the chicane. He gives up some spots now, fading back. Is out in front of him now. It's Alabi and Wedderburn, I think, are the two now battling.
Yeah, indeed. That is we've got the 28 Aston Martin there in the gray car, and then right behind are Andre Wedderburn and Stephen May. Wedderburn in the black Mercedes, May in the yellow and black McLaren.
Yeah, we've got 18 cars. 18 cars in GT4 AM tonight. It's a huge field. So there's going to be battles like this up and down. And we go to LMP3. Huge battles going on there. This, of course, Eric Violette trying to keep Mike Dam behind him as he's already made his way around Mike.
And Larry, if we take a look, Dam, who is still sitting in 5th position, actually he's not. He's now sitting in 5th behind Eric Violette. Got word that he had an off track. Let's take a look here as they're battling it out on track.
So keep an eye on Mike Dam. That's an orange trimmed Orion paint scheme there. Through the chicane, and again gets quite a bit of curbing on the first part of it. Saves the car, manages to save it, then gets the course cut coming out of there just to keep the car on track, and gives up the position then to Eric Violette, who's doing quite well considering the notes that he sent to us before the race. He didn't have a lot of confidence in his ability to keep up with the fast guys, you know, like Leo Jagoda and Bailey Petrowski, but he was hoping for clean racing from him and maybe some attrition. But right now, that's how you pick up spots. Is not the case. It was Mike Dam suffering a little bit of that attrition, still in the race, but losing a lot of track speed.
Well, Larry, look at all that traffic as some of our LMP3 leaders were trying to make it through the GT4 traffic. Ken Copeland being part of that traffic is Copeland has now moved up a couple of positions. He's gotten around Chris Klimovich, still running 7th, and that is dead last in pro. And he is, Larry, sitting right in the middle of the GT4 AM field now.
Yeah, look at this. That's Travis Schwenke. He's 3rd in LMP3 right now. Eric Violette caught him quickly through all of that traffic. Eric caught it at a decent time and was able to get a good run coming out of that second chicane. Now he's right there on the heels of Travis. Now they have lost sight of Leo Dragota, who's making his way up to Bailey Petrowski. In fact, he's within a second of Bailey. Remember before it was more than 2 seconds. So perhaps his traffic playing into Leo's hands a little bit.
Yeah, I think very much so. Oh, as we've got, I think that was Jeff Jacobs running very, very wide. They're going bounding through the grass.
All this side by side even to try and get through traffic going through the third chicane. Just crazy. As Dragota is trying to get through, Petrowski manages to gap him a little bit here going to Rabatza.
And Dragota just had nowhere to go, Larry. He was sitting right behind the midfield mover. I think that was Tom Jenkins that was directly ahead of him. I mean, there was nowhere for Dragota to go, and thankfully he just held station where he was.
Yeah, Jenkins is in his own fight. He's in 4th right now in the AM category. He's in a big fight. Zach Mosley, Neil Weston, Leo Lucas. They're not that far in front of these two guys, but these guys right now battling for 3rd. And with all these LMP3s coming along, they're not going to give up their fight. And with David Payton, who's in the GT4 Pro right behind him in a similar Aston, there's a whole lot of fighting going on. They don't want to give up spots.
Here come Dam and both Dam and Violet as they're trying to work their way through. Ooh, as Violet tries to turn in and finds that Mercedes of Mosley right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Mosley's doing what he can. He's just going to give him a little room where he can, but he doesn't want to give up his fight. Like I said, he's in his own battle right now. He's in 3rd in the AM GT4s, and that's a good position to hang on to when you get 18 cars deep. Chance to breathe for these guys, at least for half of that.
Hey, Larry, wanted to mention that tonight's race steward. We'll get back to that in a second.
Dam, yeah. That's down there in the Acamina Rally. That's a tough corner. It's like a decreasing radius sort of downhill dive. And if you miss it, or if you tap a curb at the apex, you're going to go flying into this asphalt runoff, which unfortunately is usually a slowdown penalty as well. So we'll see if Mike has to give that time.
See here that that fight is David Payton trying to find his way around a couple AM drivers here. Payton currently running 5th in Pro, but he's got the top 4 AM drivers between he and Chris Thorman, his teammate, who's currently running 4th. Wanted to mention, Larry, that tonight's race stewards are provided by the SCCA Foundation. The SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit sccafoundation.org for more information.
More traffic here as Baron Glover now trying to hold off a charging Rob Hartley. Hartley there in the Orion car. You see him there with that green-yellow trim. Baron Glover holding on to 6th place for the moment. Baron's car there from the Wrong Stuff. As always, a pretty good contingent of Wrong Stuff drivers here. I think, is he the only one though in the LMP3s?
Let me double check, but I think he is the only one of our Wrong Stuff LMP3 racers. Yes, he is.
We've obviously got a bunch in the GT4s.
Let's take a look here. This is our pole sitter tonight, Larry. Ken Copeland is he now. We talked a little bit earlier about him getting around Chris Klimovich. He's gotten around John Casey and David Klimovich, David Killo as well. Now running 27th overall. And he's got that battle that we were watching in AM just ahead of him.
The problem is, you can see on the timer there, he's about 34 seconds behind GT4 leader Carlisle. So that's where his struggle is going to be, is how to find 30 seconds. If he can make up about 10 of that, he can get a couple of positions. But remember, these guys, although they're competing in the final score tally with just Pro or just AM, interesting move there as he goes through some traffic. But remember, they only score as many points in the combined AM and Pro together. So every AM he finishes further behind is less points he gets, even though he scored only in the Pro category. So it's very important to get by all of these cars. But with 18 of the AMs, 7 of the Pros, and a lot of these AMs are extremely fast, as we've seen already with folks like Lucas and Weston and some of the others. It's going to be tough to get around them and make up all that distance.
Yeah, never mind the fact that he's just burning fuel at this point. It's going to be very difficult for him to do any kind of fuel savings. That if there's very little chance that a pit stop strategy is going to help him here.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone's going to try an off strategy. It's going to be him. As Wedderburn now goes a little bit deep on the brakes, going into Tamburello, manages to save the car, doesn't have any damage at least, but certainly lost some more position there for Andre Wedderburn as we were watching him. Now we're on to the David Klimovich.
Yeah, I was just going to say that allowed David Klimovich and I think David Killow around as well.
They're in 8th and 9th right now in the M category, which puts them around 15th, 16th overall in the GT4s.
All right, Larry, let's jump back over to LMP3, where we've got Kyle Strikers from SRT Esport in the number 39 machine, and he has got Aaron Beaver directly behind him, and Beaver pulled right up to the gearbox there as they cut through Ravaza. As they've got Mariano Barrios kind of holding their progress up.
Yeah, just a little bit there, and of course Mariano's trying to go as quick as he can to keep up with Carlisle out in front, but this little battle of Strikers and Beaver, very, very tight one. Aaron trying to get the best run. Turns out, didn't help. Wasn't able to get that draft going into Tamburello, so here we are again, same running order for these two as they come around towards the Villeneuve chicane just ahead. And probably our GT4 leader, Carlisle.
Yeah, as I said, Carlisle, I think, is just up ahead.
Yep, that's him right there.
That's him right there. And frankly, Larry, if we look at Strikers and Beaver, they lost a little bit of ground. Wow. They lost a little bit of ground working their way through traffic. They had been within about 1.8 seconds of Hartley and Glover ahead, and that now has extended out to almost 4 seconds just in the last third of a lap.
A lot of traffic. It's a little bit of rear-ending almost. Oh, so close there. As it looked like, is that
Beaver just so late on the brakes there, and Larry, he was like that going into Ravaza on the previous lap as well, and it might get him into trouble sooner rather than later.
Well, I think he may not have anticipated what Strikers was doing and trying to check up because the GT4 car was in front of him. So Beaver's got to watch that. He's got to look through or around the car in front of him to make sure he leaves enough room. But he certainly is a bit later on the brakes. My worry is you keep doing that, you're on the verge of lockup, and you could possibly then hit someone just because you'll lose a little bit of downforce, and now the wheels will lock up. But he's thinking making that pass. That's why he's doing this on some of these corner wrenches. He's hoping to get a good exit and make the slipstream pass. But so far, Strikers has done a pretty good job of keeping him behind.
All right, Larry, let's move a little bit further up. I was talking about that battle between Baron Glover and Robert Hartley just ahead of Striker and Beaver, about 4 seconds up ahead now, and Baron Glover, he's got his mirrors full with the number 3 Hartley.
As Travis told us in the pre-race interview, Hartley didn't get a lot of practice this week, so he's one of those dangerous drivers that as he gets more practice and every lap through this race becomes more practice, he'll get faster and faster and faster as the race progresses. So keep your eye on Hartley. He did start near the back of the field, but not a bad run so far, all the way up to 7th.
And so, Larry, I'm looking at our timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen, and for LMP3, it jumps from 1st position to 3rd position. There he is. Just as I say that, Leo Dragota reappears on our timing tower. I just want to let everybody know he's about 3.5 seconds back of Petrowski at the moment, and he's got about 5 seconds on his teammate Travis Schwenke behind. But yeah, I had been watching for almost an entire lap and didn't see him show up on timing and scoring.
You can can see he's also losing a little bit of ground to Bailey Petrowski now over 4 seconds. They were down to less than 1 at the first time through the traffic and through the field. But Bailey now has picked that pace back up again, and Bailey's got a lot of work to do.
And Larry, I think Aaron Beaver has now finally made it around Kyle Strikers, so moved Beaver up to 8th now in LMP3. Let's take a look and see how it happened.
So down here through the Grabazza, through those 2 left-handers, and just runs a bit wide, gets all the way out to that sand, gets no momentum down what is definitely the longest straightaway in the track, allowing Aaron Beaver to get a good run and make that pass. And I'm wondering if Aaron's running a little bit more downforce than Strikers is, because he's struggling even with the bad exit there.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to make any real gains in a straight line.
Now he may start to pull away quickly because of it. Now that he's not the one trailing, and he can use his arrow, he can go faster through the corner, so that we may see him pull away a little bit. But that may be just a setup difference between those 2 cars.
Yeah, let's jump back to this battle between Glover and Hartley here, Larry. As Hartley takes a quick look to the outside as they head down into Tamburello.
Yeah, Baron Glover going a little bit defensive now into that Tamburello chicane. Did he sacrifice his exit? Maybe just a bit, as Hartley is going to try outside. He's filling mirrors for sure at this point. Let's see if this run, though, out of Villeneuve to this hairpin is not the longest one. Hard to really set up to make a pass there. His next shot might be coming up into the Variante chicane after the next downhill and uphill. The place is very hilly, to put it lightly. Every corner seems to be followed by another sprint down. This is one of them as they run down here to the Aqua Minerale here at the bottom of the hill.
Drop down again.
Literally the creek. And then right back up that hill. Good run there, actually, for Barron. You got to get a good exit there if you're going to hold your position to hold off a hard charger like Hartley. And then through this very difficult chicane, which is pretty critical because the run now down the hill again, very critical to hold off a passer who can maybe get to the inside, and they've got some traffic to deal with there. Looks like Russ Reddick. Looks like Chris Komovich. Just up ahead there, they've got the 62 of Greg Brockway in that Mercedes. Just trying to stay against that pit wall as best he can.
As close to the wall as he can, exactly.
Could this be a pass, though? Could Hartley have the draft here? Not enough, I don't think.
Looks to the outside again.
Could be another case of one running more downforce than the other.
Drafts right back up here.
Yeah. Hartley does seem to be getting a slightly better exit, and a lot like what we had seen between Aaron Beaver and Kyle Strikers, where perhaps Beaver was running a little more downforce. You might see the same thing here with Hartley.
Well, let's see what happens there, because they are starting to come up on some GT4 traffic just ahead.
BMW is right there. Let's say that's Sean Ankeny. Probably David Klimovich right in front of him in one of the Porsches. The 0-2 with Sean Ankeny.
Oh, and I think there was some contact there, Larry.
Yeah, we lost Hartley through that mix. There he is.
Yeah, there was definitely some contact there right at the chicane between Hartley and Glover. Let's take a look and see if we can. We may not have it.
Get one queued up if we can. Tough traffic here.
It looks like we're not going to have the replay there, but regardless now, Robert Hartley has fallen almost 2 full seconds back from Baron Glover. And he may find himself, depending on how this traffic plays out, Larry, that battle between Aaron Beaver and Kyle Stryker is behind. They're inching up. They've got just a couple of the GT4 cars between them and Hartley. Let's see if we can jump back over to that battle real quick here, Jonathan, between Beaver and Strikers.
Look at the traffic now in front of them. That's Andre Wedderburn. And then alongside him is David Klimovich. Those two are fighting for position as these LMP3s are coming through. And then Elias Alavi and the Aston Martin leading that little trio of GT4s.
Yeah, and Larry, as they came down in the Tamburello, they were side by side and actually, I think, swap positions going in and then swap positions again coming out of Tamburello. But again, there's still about 4.5 seconds between them and Hartley. There you can see Hartley just now breaking down the hill as well.
That's Blake Bynum. They're going around right now. We're half around, half out. Look at the brake check up there for Strikers. Wow. Good job to not get into the back of Bynum. That's definitely going to set him back a little bit. Who's that sideways? Is that Jenkins?
That is, I believe, the Midfield Motorsports Aston Martin of...
I think that's Tom Jenkins. Yes, it is.
Tom Jenkins, indeed it is.
Wow. Where does that... He just took the toe. We're going to have to get a replay on that one. So he's... just maybe gets touched in part of that battle there. He hit the wall hard, hence why he's on the toe. Wow.
He just got clipped in the rear there.
Was that Aaron Beaver that clipped him? It was either... It might have been Kyle Stryker. Stryker's also in the pits right now, so perhaps damage to both. That'll be interesting. We'll see if they...
Wow.
If the stewards take a look at that. But speaking of the stewards, we've actually had a couple of penalties. There's so much action going on. We haven't been able to see all of it. There was an incident between Russ Ruddock in the 95 and the 17 of Blake Bynum. There was a 10-second post-race penalty given to Bynum in the 17. There was another incident between the 28 and the 25 of Marlon Jones, the 28 of Elias Alabi. And in that case, the 25 of Alabi also issued a post-race penalty. Marlon Jones given a penalty in that case. And then, let's see, we're waiting for the 68 and is trying to get the right number. Tom Jenkins actually is under investigation between Jenkins and Eric Violette in the 89. That one's still under review. And I don't think that's even the one we just saw.
That's not the one that we just saw.
There may be another one involving Jenkins. And then finally, there's one between, I believe it's number 3 of Rob Hartley and the 71 of David Killow in one of our GT4 Mercedes. And that one's still under review. So the stewards are busy.
That may be the one where we saw Hartley off in the...
that could be going into the Variante, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the stewards are very, very busy tonight.
Hey, Larry, did I mention that tonight's race stewards are provided by the SCCA Foundation?
That's good. They've got a lot of experience stewarding real races. But, yeah, good view. It's going to be a very busy night. And we were warned. One of our competitors gave us some notes ahead of time and said this track is, quote-unquote, punty.
Yes.
And I think we're definitely seeing a lot of that.
We're starting to see that right about now, right about mid-race, that some of these racers may have had enough of, that their patience has worn thin. Speaking of wearing thin,
this is a good little battle.
Yeah, there we go. Eric Hartley and Eric Violette and Mike Dam break lock up from both of them.
Well,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it looked like Dam, was that Hartley that... I don't know if that was Dam or if that was Violet that ran wide coming out of Aqua Minerale. Now they're going to go side by side. Rivazza, look at this with Dam on the inside, and he almost loses it. Lockup even from Violet. Violet scores by, but maybe didn't get the exit. Wow.
And Larry, we're right back to where we were a lap ago.
Yeah, and remember, both of these drivers are championship-level drivers in the Ricmotech variety of families of series. These guys both are two of the best drivers we have. And look at the battle going on in class between them. They're getting lockups, they're in contact, they're sliding. Look how good this stuff is. This is fantastic.
Run, Mariano, run.
Yeah, he's checking his mirrors and
checking his spidey sense.
There's a whole lot of red mist flowing now, going past Mariano right now.
Meanwhile, Bailey Petrowski, our overall leader, just reset fast lap as he is starting to burn fuel off before his first and likely only pit stop of the evening. Turned in a 1:37.533. Leo Dragotta, who is now about 8 seconds in arrears, just put in his fastest lap. He's about 0.3 off of Petrowski's pace. All right, let's put something up here that might not make the Klim Club happy. And
It's
I think
Chris
this is Chris Klimovich.
And he just goes around, and Kyle Strikers finishes him off. Unfortunately, yeah, that's a pretty good contact there for Chris.
Yeah, and I think we also saw, I think that was Blake Bynum that was off just behind.
And that may have led to Chris sort of checking up, seeing a car spinning to his left.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Strikers really didn't see it happening. But
yeah, unloaded the rear.
There's Eric Violette now trying to run away from Mike Dam. He's going to give it a shot here, trying to run away from the Canadian. It's not going to be easy. I think that's our race leader, Kevin Carlisle, now going through. And into the pits goes Mike Dam, one of the early leaders. We've seen Kyle Strikers pit after his contact, we believe, and now Mike Dam, the first of the LMP3s to come in for his first stop. Hopefully only.
And we should be hitting, Larry, the tail end of the window here. Actually, it's the start of the pit window for the LMP3s. We think that they could get somewhere, actually as many as 27 laps, but we're now seeing Aaron Beaver pit in as well. Yeah, so we're kind of like right in the middle of the LMP3 pit window.
I want to mention Aaron Beaver appears to be stopping in his pit stop. Mike Dam, I don't believe, did. He drove through, and I'm wondering if he had to serve a penalty. I don't see one. Actually, I take that back. No, the penalty was given to Rob Hartley for avoidable contact and given a warning, but I don't see any penalty against Mike Dam, and I'm wondering perhaps if he had an off-track limit. I don't know. It's something weird there.
Interesting. Let's see here. Of course, we can't tell for sure the actual off-track count, but Mike Dam doesn't appear to have many.
Yeah, unofficial count. This track is notorious for off tracks.
Yes.
I can tell you, whenever I run public races here, it is almost impossible to get a clean race with all these.
Well, hey, we saw how long it took for most of our racers to put in to actually put in a time to qualify.
And Mike Dam was one of them. Remember, he had done 3 laps without getting a clean one before finally getting his 4th. So Eric Violette now, who was in that battle with Mike, has pulled into the pits from the 4th spot.
All right, well, Larry, as Eric Violette comes in, and most likely we're going to start to see many of our other drivers in. We're right up at the top of the hour, so let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and bring our viewers all the way to the checkered flag here for round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series live from Imola. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here. with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Imola, everybody, where you are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's round number 1, presented by Proforma Elite and the SCCA Foundation. And Larry, we are starting to see a lot of our front runners in GT4 dip into the pits as we're right at the end of the pit window here for those cars right around lap number 20.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that traffic we saw in the opening laps up now. They're all in the pits. I see Ken Copeland's going in from his mid-pack and his drive-through, or his recovery drive, I should say, that he's on. Neil Weston is in there. He's been fighting for the lead, currently in second before he pit in the AM category. You've got Lucas Dragotta, your leader in the AMs, has already been in and out of the pits. And, of course, our overall leader, Kevin Carlisle, has been in and out of the pits. Just kind of waiting for all of them. The only one I see at the front right now, David Payton, who's listed as the leader. He has not pit yet. You can see behind him Carlisle, Barrios. Thorman has run through the pits. It says he's only stopped for 6 seconds. Could be an error on my system. So we're going to keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, I'll take a look here. Thorman, no, I'm showing a 49-second pit lane travel time, 24. Okay. No, I'm sorry. Thorman, 20 seconds in the pit box, 49.6 overall.
So, yeah, all those guys have stopped then. Carlisle, Barrios, Thorman, Jacobs. So right now just waiting on David Payton. I think it might be he and Robert Briss are the only cars on track that haven't started in the GT4s yet. And we've got a handful so far in the LP3s. Eric Violet, Aaron Beaver, Mike Dam, Kyle Strikers have all stopped. But your leader, Billy Petrowski, has not.
Well, funny you should say that, Larry. Now he has.
He was in my ear. Bailey said, I'm coming in, cue me in. So I got it.
That's right.
I hit the post, as they say.
All right, so Bailey Petrowski pits in from the lead. That's going to move Leo Dragotta now for Orion Racing up into the lead, and he's going to try as he might to get through some of this GT4 traffic here before he pits in. Again, for the LMP3 racers, we think that they can go as far as 27 laps. Dragotta currently working lap number 25.
Well, he'll see. Right now he's got at least an LMP3 of Kyle Strikers out in front of him. We've seen Kyle have his issues here and there, but we'll see what happens to him. And then Bailey looks like he may have come out at least for a clear air for the first part of his lap. That's good timing sometimes by luck until, as Tom Jenkins has been in every shot tonight.
Tom Jenkins from midfield coming right underneath him going into the first chicane.
And remember,
doesn't take long to get around him.
Jenkins has had his share of issues already tonight. He's been in the pits on the toe. He's got repairs done. So you can see not all of them. The car's a little scruffy. But he's back out there now as leader, or previous leader, Bailey Petrowski goes on through.
Yeah, but Petrowski rejoins in third position. Larry's got just Schwenke and Dragotta ahead. And with Schwenke only being 24 seconds up, and Dragotta another 7 seconds from there. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of curbing there.
Wow.
Rob Hartley. Or is that Travis Schwenke?
That's Travis Schwenke.
My bad. Thought I saw 3 on there, but no, it's the 16.
It's third position.
That's true. I didn't even look at that little.
All right, Leo Dragotta now pitting in from the lead. And Larry looks at his teammate Travis Schwenke just a little bit behind, about 5 seconds in arrears. Let's see where these two come out in relation to Bailey Petrowski. And Petrowski now, I believe, coming down through the final corners, coming through Ravassa. Actually, I think he's just now, there he is.
And
Is
Marlon
that
Jones
was Malcolm Jones just ahead, yeah.
Yeah, just turned into the pits. Might have gotten a little grass before there. But as Bailey goes by, Leo, there goes Bailey, and Leo pulling out now.
So Petrowski will go back to the lead. Dragotta will join second in LMP LMP3 as Travis Schwenke now gives up a position to Baron Glover. Schwenke rejoins in fourth. Glover has not pitted in yet. Glover, Josh Vidal, Bobby Childs, I believe our remaining 3 LMP3 racers yet to pit.
We got a couple of battles, I think, and that's one of them in the GT4s. That is David Klimovich currently in 5th in the GT4 AM. He's right now in a battle with, I think that's Stephen May, one of our McLarens, the yellow one right in front of him. Good little battle here. And again, this is for 4th and 5th currently in the AM class. 2 different cars. We'll see what kind of legs the Porsche's got tonight compared to the McLaren. McLaren's never been known to be the highest horsepower one in this field. The Porsche's going to go run up alongside him. Gonna make him work for it. Gonna go side by side.
On the brakes for the Porsche, but the Mayforce Racing driver, he holds off the Porsche for the moment here as they come out of Tamboroa, make the run down to Villeneuve.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity there. Good run there for May. Klimovich can't seem to find a spot. Sometimes when you're evenly matched on straightaway speed, you have to really work hard to stay with someone through the chicane and then catch him at the next one. Klimovich backed out through that chicane. Now he's got a good run, got the power down coming out of the hairpin. Let's see if he can get up, maybe even dive in along the Aqua Minerale at the bottom of the next hill.
And Larry, we could see what a run he got out of Tosa as he opened up about an extra half car length on the Porsche behind. But now as things switch back over and as they come over to Variante Alta, the Porsche starts to make up some ground once again here under braking.
Yeah. A good exit there out of the Aqua Minerale for Klimovich. Not enough, though, to make much run. He's got to be willing to kind of force himself up next to May and make May compromise his exits. A good exit here again for Klimovich. Can he get all the way up alongside May before they get down to Ravazza? There's an opening to the left there. That's the inside line to the bottom of the hill. Now he's got to pick his braking point very carefully. You don't want to overshoot it. May actually backs out.
Yeah, you saw May backed out. He got on the brakes very, very early to concede that corner.
Klimovich runs a little wide. He contains it, but he got out there. He was out there in the grass for a second. Good pass there for David Klimovich as we head back up the order here now. The Baron Glover still yet to stop as he's got Leo Dragotta, I think.
That's I think that's Travis Schwenke directly
that is Schwenke,
behind him.
You're right. I keep grabbing the names of all the other Orion drivers every time we show Travis. Sorry, Travis.
You want to put Mike down.
This is the position. Yep. Travis has stopped. Baron has not, but technically for position. Baron getting a little defensive. Nothing wrong with that. Baron is going to have to come in soon, though. I don't know how much more fuel he's got.
And
again,
comes.
Look at me hitting the post on all my cue ups here.
It's like Kruska.
And this battle has re-emerged. Eric Violet and Mike Dam. This time they've swapped again after pit stops. Dam now holding that 4th position. Violet in the 5th spot. We've seen them do this a couple times tonight. And now they got Mariano Barrios in front of them again, which we've seen that before. Italian deja vu all over again. Oh no, and that's contact between Mariano Barrios and Eric Violet. Violet's all the way across the track. Trying to get out of the way of the traffic.
Wow.
I think Eric might have gotten a little aggressive with his attempt to get around Barrios there. I think maybe we'll queue up a replay here in a second.
Here we go. Let's take a look here. And I
watch,
think as
watch
Violet
that
tried
third
to come
car.
underneath him, he
watch
just
the third
ran
car
out
go to
the
the
ground.
outside, and he just never cleared. He never actually got out there. Maybe he was thinking Barrios is going to tuck tighter. Nothing that Barrios can do. This is all on Violet.
Nope. Barrios was exiting the corner, carrying his line through there, and and Violet just ran out of.
And there's this on board here with Eric. Watch, he doesn't run wide enough. He needs to go out there and plan on using that runoff. And he just never got out there. That's unfortunately 100% on Violet for that incident. So he'll be on a recovery. So he's still in 5th, but quite a bit back now from where he was.
It's about now 14 seconds back of Mike Dam, about 7 seconds ahead of Robert Hartley. Kyle Stryker's now on the pit lane, Larry in LMP3, and I believe all of our GT4 machines now have completed their pit cycles as well.
Bailey Petrowski just reset fastest lap of the race, so 37.25. And that's after his fuel stop. So that's with a decent load of fuel on board. I didn't note if he took any tires or not, but still, this stage of the race with a 6-second lead, he's still laying them down.
Now, he has seen his lead over Dragotta reduced just a little bit. That it's down to a little bit over 6 seconds. It had been as high as 8.
Remember, though, after coming out of the pit stops, Dragotta was only about 4.5. So I think that's what Bailey is doing now. He's trying to build that back up, and there's the graphic there with that pit stop. 2 seconds gain just on that last lap when he ran that 37.2. So really well done for Bailey Petrowski. Is just trying to build that back up now with about 10 minutes to go in the race. As he came down the hill there out of Paratella, a little bit of that miscommunication for a second there with Robert Brist. Brist choosing to go one way, and Bailey thought he was going to go the other, but no harm, no foul, and be able to continue.
To work through it.
Be on board here for a second. You can see how late he'll be on the brakes. This long bending front straightaway here towards Tamarello. You see how late he gets on these brakes. He gets this thing slowed down, just touching the soft curb, not touching those sausage chunks that stick up out of there, those large rubber blocks. So smooth here for Bailey Petrowski. So precise. I love the sound of this engine, though.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talk about the Mercedes, the GT3 motor all the time, but this V8 Nissan motor is not very truck-like.
It just sounds like kind of gurgly grunty in a good way. It just makes lots of interesting sounds. Look at him. Look how he just glides that car in. Look at the little bit of slip angle he's carrying. That's a lot of speed coming out of the Aqua Minerale. It's going to be a pretty quick lap for him, the way he's rolling. Cars up in front of him. Who that is? Might be Schwenkler in the McLaren. Yep. 235.
You're right, that's 235. Yeah.
Currently running 6th in the pro category of GT4. And this could be a pretty decent lap for Petrowski that we were just on board for. Yeah, 36.3 as we were on board.
Wow.
I thought that lap was looking pretty darn smooth.
Wow. We'll see if Dragotta can put anything down in response.
Yeah.
But that was 1.2 seconds faster than Dragotta's previous lap.
It was 9/10 faster than Bailey's own previous lap. Remember, he was sitting on a 37.2. I had said a moment ago he had reset fastest lap of the race. He just went 9/10 of a second faster on basically 1 or 2 laps later. That was so smooth. You can see it. It's not eventful. The car's not out of control. It just glides. He's so smooth. Proper braking. It's beautiful to watch.
All right, just to recap here, as we have less than 10 minutes remaining, it's Bailey Petrowski, Leo Dragotta, Travis Schwenke, your top 3 in LMP3 in GT4 AM. We've got Lucas Dragotta and Neil Weston, and about 5 seconds separating those 2 drivers. Chuck Labano, he's got 3 GT4 Pro drivers between he and Weston. And then finally in GT4 Pro, it is Kevin Carlisle, Mariano Barrios, Chris Thorman, your top 3.
We haven't talked much about Chuck Labano tonight. That 18-car field. Of course, we talked a bit about Lucas and Neil there running the front 2. Klimovich now had the 4th place spot, but Chuck Labano has done a really good job here, quietly staying in this, and right now sitting on that provisional podium spot. So well done for him in a very difficult field. We've seen some attrition, we've seen some contact throughout the field, and so far he's been able to avoid the fray. And 8 more minutes now, he'd like to see himself on a podium. Not over yet, but a good run so far for Chuck Labano.
Ooh, and Larry, we have just introduced the announcer's curse as I think Chuck was contemplating what you had said, so much in fact that he actually just didn't use the brakes and goes right off into the gravel trap over at Tamburello. Oh my
Nothing in
gosh.
life is guaranteed. Nothing is certain. All right, Chuck, we'll let you go back into anonymity here, and you can be ignored for a while.
Sorry.
But all right, so back up to Kevin Carlisle, our GT4 Pro leader in his Mercedes. And, he's currently got quite a big margin here to Mariano Barrios. Kevin really laying down the lumber tonight. Of course, with the spin on that opening lap, Ken Copeland kind of took out what was going to be a big build-up to those two battling it out. And Copeland's gotten himself back up to 6th in the Pro class. And I guess 9th overall in GT4 is not what Ken thought he'd be doing tonight.
No, certainly not. And just as you mentioned, that Copeland just sets his personal best lap time here on lap number 27. Currently working lap number 28.
This is actually 5th spot.
Yeah, I was say he's up to 5th now. He's got a long way to go. Actually, he doesn't have a long way to go. I was saying to get to David Payton. I think Payton's only a couple car lengths up the road.
Should see him right here, right down the hill in front of him. Again, just watch him. Our leader just moving that car around. Another car, though, as you mentioned, talking about the motor in the LMP3 is this Mercedes, whether it's in the GT4 trim or the GT3, it's a fantastic sound. A little more throaty than the LMP3 engine, but still smooth. And that corner, as he almost misses it coming down the hill.
Yeah.
It is so hard, that downhill braking, to get it right and to get the rotation right without the back end snapping on you, because it kind of goes off camber through that first of the Ravazza corners there. It's one of the more difficult corners in a lot of tracks you'll find because of its nature of downhill. It has a bit of that Road Atlanta coming into the chicane sort of, downhill, right, that downhill. This one's even more abrupt, still going downhill when you're on the brakes. Road Atlanta kind of levels out as you get down to the bottom. But not here at Imola. It's still quite a bit downhill, and it's not a chicane. You're not trying to take all your speed off. You like to carry some through the first part of that Ravazza, and it's not easy at all here. And also, you want to use a little curb. It's tough.
All right, so we've got about 3 minutes remaining here, Larry, but let's take a look at this. This is the battle for 4th in Pro right now between David Payton and Ken Copeland as they come out of the final corners.
A much narrower Porsche here behind Payton in that Aston Martin, and I think the legs right now might belong to the Aston Martin, as I'm watching a couple of car length gaps there open up a little bit for Payton ahead of Copeland. It's going to be a very difficult ask for Copeland to get on by. Look how close he gets, though, under braking and through this chicane. Yeah, look at that. It's just, he's behind them. They're coming up on, you got the lap traffic. There's Blake Bynum in one of the Mercedes there in front of them. So could be an opportunity here for Copeland to maybe use Bynum as a bit of a pick. Let's see how they approach this. Bynum slips out of the way. Copeland tries to get out there, maybe use a bit of a draft. I think Bynum decided to lift a little longer and keep these two getting past him.
All right, Larry, real quick, let's jump back. We'll rejoin that fight here in a moment. But it is the battle for 3rd right now in LMP3. And Mike Dam, having dispatched with Eric Violet, we saw what happened to Violet a couple laps ago, has set his sights on his teammate Travis Schwenke here, and we see only about 3 car lengths at most.
And their teammate Leo Dragota just entered the pits, and I wonder if he didn't take out enough fuel.
Wow.
And he's got to do a splash and go here at the end. remember, he's been sitting second the entire night, unchallenged for that second position. Now he's got these two teammates coming on by, and they're about to blast down this front straightaway. There they go. This is going to put Leo back in fourth, which means the battle
Larry,
for Schwenke
white
Dam.
flag is in the air as well. We are on the last lap.
Oh, heartbreaking for Leo to have, it's very likely running out of fuel. Now, Dam and Schwenke are now second and third potential in the podiums, but it's not over yet. They've got themselves about 2.5 miles of fighting to go.
All right, we'll jump back to Petrowski in a moment. This is that battle for fourth in GT4 Pro. And Copeland, can he move ahead going through Tamburello? All over the curbing, right across the nose of the Aston. Oh my gosh, and Peyton couldn't figure out where to put the nose of that car other than into the back bumper of the Porsche. It manages to keep it off.
But they each used their share of curbing, and there's Copeland using some more down at Villeneuve. But yeah, if you watch Copeland use some on the second apex of that chicane. Peyton got himself a little bit as well. So, but they'll contact with each other and they keep rolling. But right now,
Peyton used his share of Thorman's momentum as well. As we jump back to Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing as he comes out of Ravazza for the very last time and taking the checkered flag and the win in LMP3 for round one of the Extreme Motorsports Sports Car Series. It's Bailey Petrowski.
Well done for Bailey. He's been just untouchable with his speed tonight. So fast, so smooth. Well earned. The rest of this LMP3 field's got their work cut off for him to keep up with Bailey this season.
Yeah, indeed, because we've got almost a half a minute before Schwenke and Dam come up.
And they're still fighting.
Yeah, they are. And we just saw one of the Orion cars on the side of the road. That was, I think, Dragotta.
That was Dam. That's Dam right there. Let's see how they came out of Ravazza together. So we're looking at Mike Dam already behind a couple of GT4s. And Dam now on the inside, and that was unforeseen circumstances. Dam gets taken out a little bit right there. I want to say that was Logan Dorian, and I think Logan just didn't see him. Logan was in his own fight there, didn't see the LMP3 on his left.
LMP3. So Travis Schwenke will finish second in LMP3. Mike Dam will manage to hold on for third as he crosses the line. Leo Dragotta will finish just off the podium in fourth. Eric Violet will finish in fifth. In GT4 Pro, Kevin Carlisle, your leader at the end of lap one in GT4 Pro, takes the win. Mariano Barrios will finish second. Chris Thorman finishes in third, with Ken Copeland working his way all the way back to fourth position after that heartbreak on lap number one. And in GT4 AM, Lucas Dragotta takes the win over Neil Weston, with Chuck Labano finishing in third, Dave Klimovich finishing just off the podium in fourth.
Yeah, a couple of dominant wins here, but a lot of great racing, and what's going to be a very deep field in all of our classes. It's going to be a great season. We're only one round in.
Only one round in. All right, Larry, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll interview some of our podium finishers here tonight at Imola, where you've just seen round number one of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Proforma Elite. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Imola, where you've just seen round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by SCCA Foundation and Proforma Elite. John, let's take a look at that finishing order. There we go. Taking the win in LMP3 to open up the season. D2D Sim Racing's Bailey Petrowski with Travis Schwenke and Mike Dam from Orion rounding out your top 3. In GT4 Pro from SimCity Racing, Kevin Carlisle with Mariano Barrio second. Chris Thorman holding on for third, and in GT4 AM, Lucas Dragota from Dragonsport taking the win. Neil Weston from HTPK Racing finishing in second, and then finishing third, Chuck Labano. All right, so Larry, looks like we've got a couple folks in the waiting room for us. I don't know who Skittle 22 is, but I'm sure we'll find out in a moment. Let's do this, though. Let us bring in Kevin Carlisle. He's your winner tonight in GT4 Pro racing this season for SimCity Racing. Let's take a listen.
All right, Kevin Carlisle, your winner tonight in GT4 Pro. And Kevin, pretty dominant win, but I tell you, that start was pretty hairy from where you were sitting. Let me talk a little bit about the start of this thing and how you got into the groove to take the win tonight.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a pretty tight race. The top 3 were pretty close in qualifying, and I saw Ken make a mistake there early, and I just thought head down. Don't worry about it. Just worry about what I can control. And I just tried to be smooth and set sail, and that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, very, very smooth all night long. But even trying to be smooth in your class with big margin, there's a lot of traffic. The LMP3s seem to be at every corner coming around. How do you manage them, and how do you let them play through, so to speak, while you're still trying to win your own race?
You just try to be predictable as possible and not make any sporadic movements, because it's their job to get around us. So I just hold my line. Hopefully they can make a smart choice. I'll make a consistent choice, and hopefully it doesn't result in a crash.
Yeah, well done tonight to be able to get that win. And you got a couple of fans here in the YouTube chat here from SimCity Racing cheering you on. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank, maybe even a couple of them, for helping you get the win tonight.
Yeah, I thank everybody at SimCity Racing. Such an awesome team, awesome group of guys. Special thanks to my girlfriend. Special thanks to my guest spotter, Chad Sebrin. Thanks to our sponsors, Star Nursery, Monster, Oakley, Jordan, Grid, and Abruzzi. It's great. It was great. It was a fun race, and thank you guys for putting on a good show.
All right, well done tonight, Kevin. Way to get a win here in the opening round of this season's Sports Car Series. Your winner tonight in GT4 Pro, Kevin Carlisle.
Thank you guys.
All right, Larry, so big night tonight for the Mercedes drivers. We just talked to Kevin Carlisle. Let's bring in Lucas Dragota from Dragonsport Racing. He took the win in his Mercedes in GT4 AM.
All right, so winning tonight in GT4 AM, it's Dragonsport Racing's Lucas Dragota. And Lucas, well done tonight, but it was a tough battle to get to stick around and stick ahead of Neil in this one. Tell me a little bit about it from your side. Lucas?
All right, well, we're going to give Lucas a couple more seconds here. He might be shooting the you-know-what with his ex-teammate there, Leo. Tell you what, we'll bring him back to the green room, and let's talk to our overall winner tonight, taking the win for the first round of the season in LMP3 for D2D Sim Racing, Bailey Petrowski.
All right, join here with Bailey Petrowski, your overall winner tonight in LMP3. And Bailey, I got to say, first, a big thank you from me, because you made me look good. I said, you know who hasn't pit yet is Bailey, as you were pulling into the pit. So that was one, and we happened to be on board with you while you ran your.
And the next guy, he said something like that about went off into a
perfect.
gravel trap.
That 36.3 that you ran, we happen to have been on board and kind of basically doing a hot lap with you. And well done for demonstrating exactly how to go even faster than qualifying in race trim. So awesome drive tonight. It looked fast out there, but it looked a bit hectic at time with the traffic. How about from your view?
Oh yeah, the traffic was very hectic. I'm definitely still learning how the LMP3 handles and catches up to GT4s and how fast the GT4s can actually go through the corners in comparison to an LMP3. So I was trying to be a bit conservative for the most part. There were a few times where I just didn't want to wait and probably was a little bit more aggressive than I would have liked, but there's still a lot to learn about this car, I think, and since this is my first season, I have not driven much in this type of, or in LMP3s with GT4s, so I was mainly scoping out kind of what the season's going to be like and what to expect.
Yeah. Well, we know we've seen you in, of course, the GTPs, being fast, winning championships and all that there. It's now stepping into the LMP3s. They're obviously different cars. They're a different level of prototype, but how do you adapt? What's like the biggest difference for people who haven't maybe tried the LMP3 yet? What's the biggest difference in going to this car from perhaps one of the other LMP cars?
Well, the big thing is just driver seat.
Yeah.
That's going to be the toughest thing, switching back and forth. But I think if you're comfortable driving with prototypes, the how you use the brakes is often quite similar as how you would drive with any other high downforce car. The big thing that I've struggled with is how you get on throttle in this car, since the traction control is so strong and it's really easy to get it to kick in and cut the engine, so you honestly have to be really slow on the throttle and really feather it and kind of feel for how much grip is there. And if you can be smooth and do that, it doesn't feel like it should be quick, but every time like I focus on that, I just see my delta go green, or all of a sudden I'm a couple tenths quicker.
Well, you made it look almost easy tonight. Not so easy where I'm sure the rest of your challengers are going to be coming at you the next time, but tonight it's got to feel pretty good getting a win under your belt here in the opening round and getting off to the right step. So well done there, but I'm sure you got some folks perhaps at the D2D team you want to thank for tonight's win.
Oh yeah, I absolutely want to thank the team for continuing to give me these opportunities to race in these series and race with their colors and their sponsors. I want to thank I want to thank my family. I want to thank all my friends that continue to support me for this and this series. Thank you. I want to thank you guys for commentating on these races, on these broadcasts. And thank you to everyone that comes and watches these races consistently.
Well, when they get here to race, to watch the races and get to see a display like you just put on, it makes it enjoyable for the rest of us. So well done there. Appreciate that. And congrats for getting the first win here in the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, thank you so much to Bailey Petrowski taking the win tonight in LMP3. Larry, let's give it another try here. We're going to try to bring in our winner tonight in GT4 AM, driving the Rennsport Racing Mercedes, Lucas Dragota.
All right, Lucas, you got the mic on this time?
Yeah.
Hey, there he is. Awesome. So tonight, a great race tonight here. A huge field in the GT4 AMs, 18 cars out there. You had a very strong competitor there in Neil Weston, who got himself on the pole tonight, but you managed to get around him and move on out there for the victory. But tell me how tough that was to get this victory here tonight.
Got a good start and tried to dive on Neil because I knew it was going to be hard to pass that portion very quick. Put the car on cruise control and just got myself to the finish line.
Yeah, it's a tough field out there with so many competitors coming at you. It's a very, very deep AM field tonight, but also you're running right up there. In fact, you were up in the top 4 running with the pro category tonight, and between that and then you got the LMP3s flying around you. How do you keep that composure on a night like this where it's a new series, a couple of new drivers, and all this multi-class racing? How do you keep that composure to make sure you don't make the big mistake?
Try to keep my line, staying consistent, putting 51, low 51s, Yeah.
Be consistent. It's a good tip for anybody watching in. That's how you do it, and that's how you win races. And that's what you did tonight, winning the GT4 AM category. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping to get the win.
Yeah, my parents were almost support. My brother giving me pointers even though he's in a different car. Kevin, I know that he's had a hard time. Big shout out to him. And all of you guys here helping this league. That's just so awesome.
Well, yep, it's a great league and off to a great start for you and getting that victory here in the opening round in GT4 AM. So congrats, Lucas.
All right, there you go, everybody. Lucas Dragota taking the opening win here tonight in GT4 AM. So, Larry, let's wrap things up here. Not that we have anywhere to go because we're going to be at Imola next week anyhow. But
just go get myself an espresso and hang out for the night. I'm good to go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so next week, Monday night, May 6th, as I mentioned, we're going to have the new season of the Ricmotech World Challenge starting off season number 10, and we're going to be, surprisingly enough, here at Imola. It's for our GTP and GT3 racers, and I believe we still have registration open if you want to go to xmsracing.com. And then in 2 weeks, the SportsCar series will return to the British Isles, and we're going to be at Oulton Park for 60 minutes. That's going to be May 13th, and then in 3 weeks, May 20th, the Ricmotech World Challenge comes to Laguna Seca for another 75-minute battle. All right, so want to thank my partner in crime, Larry Lefty McLeod, for everything here tonight, and of course, Jonathan Grabowski pushing all those buttons behind the scenes. I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night, once again from Imola. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.